Ariel Fintushel, which is pronounced like peanut shell, is in her third year pursuing an MFA in poetry at SF State. Having lived in Northern California most of her life, she is still befuddled by seasons. Ariel writes and performs poetry with 8th graders at Bridge the Gap, an after-school program in Marin, is it Marin? I don't know how cities are. Is a volunteer tutor at the English Tutoring Center and is looking forward to volunteering at 826 Valencia. Many things influence her poetry, especially her meditation practice at the Dharma Punx and her insightful teachers and classmates within the creative writing program at State. While writing this, Ariel was watching a television show about building a garage to withstand flooding. Please welcome Ariel.
So I'm going to read some poems about this lady I've been obsessed with, a skydiver from the 1900s, Tiny Broderick, and the daughter she abandoned, Verla, in order to skydive. And then just some miscellaneous ones. So this is called Visitation 1. Verla came to me, and it was a bad time for me. I was sitting on my Zafu. I had just moved and quit a job and was trying to feel settled. Had just calmed my thoughts enough to start to hear an owl whine purple into thick, lengthening evening when she stood up on the twin and made the springs creak. Verla came to me pretending to be her mother, the famous female skydiver from the early 1900s, but I knew it wasn't Tiny because Verla is a woman built bigger. When Verla moves, you feel it start in her brain like fire set to the far corner of a tobacco field. And you get caught up in the things that burn as it spreads. Kerosene worms, tinsel ties, buckets carbon blackening, blood roots and horsemen burnt into jewelweed and trout lily until the burning things gather, flame azalea, wing off into orange butterfly weed. Then, out of the mess, a white trillium, a handshake. I'm Tiny, Verla said. I hear you are writing a book of poetry about me. I'm just trying to sit now, I said, looking at Verla, feeling somewhat bored of her, disappointed by her sloping largeness, her slow breathing into my small room, and a loose lace gown with a brown trim that puckered at her thick waist. Verla stood over me. I shrunk down into my cushion, into my closet-sized room, decorated with the few items I trucked along from place to place. Scratches accumulating wherever a smooth surface had been, document corners torn and curled, a dream catcher made of twigs and floss hanging into a cobweb, the mess all about me, choking up into evening, then Verla, hovering. She stood over me on the twin, bouncing a little so the curtains behind flapped like wings, filling out the room with humid, plant-smelling breath.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So much fun. Fishing for impediments.
Yes. You're good.
Fishing for impediments. This poem found floating on the swamp, electric wires hugging her in thin veins, sparking. These are the words that fell off like skin. I go to fish them out, mud-caked, lotus-like, capes for an eel. Scars mark her, then wear off. I go back to find what cuts, then fills. I go back to the swamp. Tiny says what's left there is sewage from the church, leeches, groundwater, trash from when the preacher takes his lunch. When Tiny says, shh, extra air leaks out. The wet before the whistle, impediment will cake to my body like skin, then unstiffen, water a texture of wet amphibian throats. When the bullfrogs get going, holding like a thought. In the invisible footsteps of Tiny Broadway. Objective, locate a moving skyscape, the air diver's body. 2 points. The point where I'm standing pointing and the object of my pointing. In thinking of finding her, I'm tightening a clamp on salt water. Throughout this whole procedure, something crying in me, elaborating the muckiness of my circumstance. Silk plumes, no ripcord for biting off, releasing, slowing. Dreaming, drowning in a lagoon, leaves pale belly, wrong side up, carnival lights braided in a fishing nets. Again and again, I check the papers but do not find what I am looking for. Small fish kicking up mud. Little girl in a pond with lotus flowers. On the days Tiny couldn't fly, something dizzying set the parameters. I wonder, are these the things I should be writing or just wondering? When she couldn't fly means when I can't do what I want in the moment, and when Mama couldn't find her way up, when I drew her the picture of little girl in a pond with lotus flowers, and it saved her life. When Tiny couldn't fly, I checked everywhere on my body to see where I was holding her down. I stared in the mirror for hours, not thinking once about how that sky was a different one, just watching my face contort until it disappeared into salty condensation, and I imagined out of my own greed I gripped Tiny's parachute with my teeth. But instead of grounding us, my mother continued to fall, past the point where rain meets the earth, too dark to thread the needle to start the mending. When I saved her life with the picture means when I reproduced the image of the innocent little girl in her, water-purified, sweet, dappled pink flowers, a kindness in her thick, dark curls that dipped over large eyes, cattail brown with unashamed intensity. All right, here's the miscellaneous ones. Monarchs rape other monarchs, my housemate tells me, and I think, of course they do, but she is talking about butterflies. I think about the monarchs at Natural Bridges Beach. Okay. Waiting in the winter trees, tawny orange under deep black margins. Once, I jogged with my friend to where the monarchs are, over puddles of mud and a partly submerged wooden bridge, while she spoke to me about some foreign government that was heavy-handed, but I was caught in the clapping of waves, eucalyptus leaves dripping salt water and turning pink from the cold, splashing mud over socks onto my ankles. I didn't know then, when I looked up at the monarchs, they were raping each other in the sunlight. The women with their darker veins, the male getting it, finding what he wants from air, then pinning her down, making a creamy milkweed egg, then fluttering toward goldenrod hills. It's the natural order of things, my housemate tells me, but instead I think of tweezers. Come winter, I will pry the male off. Worrywart. She opens the box, size of a pill container, made of yellow wood, bits of red and blue paint. Threaded people are inside, the size of pills. No mouths or eyes, blank lines of thread wound around wire. Bright, festive skirts, brown fedoras, and sharp wire feet. Worry people. You put them under your pillow, Mama says, and they take away your worries. She sits on the side of my bed, dumps the bright figures into my laps. What do they do with my worries, which scuttle around on jointed legs? In the morning they emerge expressionless. I cannot tell which worries they have removed from my sleep, so I make myself like them, woven on bone, then small and bright like a bud. I saw this one. It's about our cafeteria, and it's just simply called the cafeteria. I am a haphazard wall, a cold gray, I'm going to do two more. The cafeteria. I am a haphazard wall, a cold gray diagonal column, a skinny pipe narrowed like a wrinkle. The dull black plastic tiles made to imitate obsidian reflect small smudges of light into the space cut into sections by lines of people waiting to order their meals. I recognize no one. Then I recognize the girl from the bus curled over her salad, diving into it, shoveling lettuce into her mouth and chewing it and looking around, like me, at all the people she does not know, letting the murmur consume her, shake her into unrecognizable vibrations as if she is a smooth-backed chair, a diamond-shaped lamp, a small white cylindrical alarm. and the boy I recognize at the burrito stand, who walks past me, a girl close behind him, the two of them shifting together, connected by an invisible coil of heat. How they walk by me, although I know him, how he walks by, because I am the thick brown table decorated with crumbs, soiled napkins, the greasy imprints fingers leave behind that suck in the light and make it dark, sticky, small. I am a part of this space, implicated or not. My face adorns it, it adorns my face. Together we wash and do not wash our hands and touch our faces and then touch the plastic trays and the guardrails. I want to leave this space, to remove from it the image of my face, imperfect trail of pink lipstick marking the rim of my water bottle, the passivity of my cell phone as it lays there parallel to the dim, flat ceiling, letting the murmur shake it rather than brightening of its own accord again and again and again, as I wish it would, so that I would never be left alone here, so that I would always be upheld by someone else's thoughts of me, so that even as I am a mop bucket, an orange cone, I am someone known. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to leave on like a happier note. So, breakfast at the 8th Street Cookhouse. It's a breakfast little diner in St. Rosa. You should go. You have a gravy heart on your shirt. I imagine wiping it off with my paper napkin. Still gravy stains. Scrubbing leaves bits of paper where the heart was. It's too late to be cleaned, the Pharaoh said, sauce dripping from his sacred gravy vessels. I imagine sopping it up with my buttermilk biscuits, getting gravy on every doughy ridge. Gravy is a glue between kingdoms. Beneath your gravy heart is a man's chest. I imagine tissue circuits where real red-eye gravy reaches the heart beneath the heart. I'm too full to be jealous of where gravy gets to go with you. So full, I imagine I thicken, white flood large as the Nile, spilling little gravy hearts and endless diner coffee.